think for a moment about that package that, well, it just sort of magically appears on your doorstep, maybe hours, maybe days after you clicked buy.
Hmm.
Feels like magic, doesn't it? But behind that, that effortless delivery, there's this huge, really intricate world most of us never see. We're talking about the logistics real estate market.
Exactly. And today we're taking a deep dive into that, well, absolutely critical sector. And just so you know where we're coming from, our insights are grounded in a pretty comprehensive market analysis from cognitive market research. Specifically, it's their Logistics Real Estate Market Trends and Future Opportunities Report. Anushka Gore authored it. Published initially January 6, 2025, but there was an important update quite recently, July 2nd, 2025.
Right, so very current data. And our mission here is to, unpack the key trends, maybe some unexpected challenges, and definitely the exciting future opportunities shaping this sector. It really is an essential engine of the global economy.
Okay, so to really get a sense of the scale here, I mean, this unseen world, let's look at some numbers. The sector was estimated to be worth USD 102.6 billion, that's billion with a B. In 2024, that's huge, like
Yeah.
roughly the GDP of Ukraine maybe, all just for housing the backbone of global trade. And it's projected to climb even higher, over USD 166 billion by 2032. That means a compound annual growth rate, a CGR of 6.2%. I mean, that kind of steady growth, it makes it one of the most foundational sectors out there.
It absolutely is. And the main thing driving this, probably no surprise, is the increasing dominance of e-commerce. It's now a huge slice of global retail sales. And that completely changes not just what we buy, but, how things move. And critically, the spaces needed to handle it all. Right. So this huge shift in shopping habits, it directly impacts what's needed in logistics real estate. Are we just talking about needing like bigger warehouses, or is it more fundamental, smarter warehouses?
That's exactly the right question. It's definitely less about just sheer size now. It's more about the intelligence inside. The demand isn't just for boxes. It's for smart boxes. Things equipped with automated storage and retrieval systems, ASRS they call them. This means a facility isn't just sitting there holding goods. It's actively managing, sorting, dispatching, super fast, super precise. Warehouses are becoming these high-speed, data-driven fulfillment engines.
Wow, okay. That's a really big shift from just storage to dynamic processing. And that ties into something else you mentioned, sustainability, green building practices. Are these niche smart facilities also greener?
Often, yeah, almost by necessity. Companies are under more pressure, to meet environmental regulations, reduce their carbon footprint. So that's really reshaping how new facilities get developed and even how older ones get upgraded. Efficiency goals often line up pretty well with sustainability goals.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. The global picture. Where's the action concentrated? North America seems to have the biggest piece of the pie right now, around 40% market share in 2024. Which kind of makes sense, right? Mature e-commerce, good infrastructure, lots of investment over time.
Exactly. And then Europe has a pretty significant share too, about 30%. I think countries like Germany, the Netherlands, they're absolutely key logistics hubs connecting the continent. Their location, the established trade routes, indispensable, really.
Okay, and then shifting over to Asia Pacific, that's where things are really heating up. It was 20% of the market in 2024, but expected to jump to 24% by 2026, driven by what? Cities going fast, more middle-class buyers, and that e-commerce explosion in places like China and India.
Yeah, all of that. And if you connect it to the bigger picture, initiatives like China's Belt and Road, they're definitely drivers. But what's interesting, and maybe less talk about, is how these huge infrastructure projects, they're not just boosting demand for giant warehouses along the main routes, they're also sparking development of smaller hubs in places, further inland, landlocked regions. It's actually opening up whole new markets for logistics real estate.
So with all this growth, these changing demands, it must be a super competitive market. We're talking big players, right? Prolabisis, Inc., leading the pack, around 15% market share in 2024. And then Goodman Group at 12%. ESR came in limited at 11%.
Yeah.
Close behind.
Very competitive. And those companies, yeah, they've been consistently focused. Strategic investments, tech-driven facilities, sustainable buildings, putting them in high-demand areas. Plus, you see a lot of M&A activity, mergers, acquisitions, joint ventures. That's common. And we actually expect competition to get even tougher by 2025. Especially with new players jumping in, focusing specifically on things like last-mile logistics, urban warehousing. That's a hot niche.
Yeah. And here's something maybe listeners don't realize. A key distinction. It's not just any industrial space. Logistics-specific real estate is becoming much more preferred now, right, for optimizing supply chains. It's not just repurposing old factories, it's purpose-built stuff.
It's a really critical point about how the market's changing.
Yeah.
As of 2024, logistics-specific real estate, it already makes up about 45% of the total industrial real estate market. Compare that to traditional facilities at 35%, maybe mixed use at 20%. And that 45% share, it's expected to climb, maybe 48% by 2025. It's all driven by that demand for last-mile hubs, tech-integrated
Yeah.
places, shows a clear preference shift.
Okay, so growth, global reach, specialized buildings sounds great. But you might think it's all smooth sailing. I suspect not. Like any fast-moving sector, there must be some pretty significant headwinds, some real challenges.
Oh, absolutely. The biggest one. Probably the rising cost of land and construction materials. It's hitting affordability hard,
Yeah.
especially in cities where the demand is highest. Just to give you an idea, recent reports show land prices in prime logistics areas. They've jumped nearly 15% in just the last 2 years. That puts serious financial pressure on developers and eventually tenants too.
Wow, 15%. Okay. And on top of that, you hear about labor shortages.
Mhm.
We're talking skilled workers, right? People who can actually operate and maintain these advanced automated systems, robotics, AI, that kind of thing. Is it just a training issue or something deeper?
It feels deeper. It's a real bottleneck. Imagine you build this amazing cutting-edge warehouse,
Yeah.
all the robots, but then you can't find enough technicians to keep them running smoothly or data analysts to actually use the data they generate.
Yeah.
That's a very real problem, particularly in high-growth regions. It slows down adoption, hurts efficiency.
Right. And that push for sustainability we talked about, great goal, but it has its own challenges.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of a double-edged sword.
Mhm.
Meeting those strict environmental rules often means big investments, green technologies, retrofitting older buildings. It all adds up. So developers are constantly trying to balance being environmentally responsible with, well, making the project financially viable. It's tricky.
And then there's the big picture stuff, macroeconomics, things like interest rates changing that must affect investment decisions. And we've certainly seen how geopolitical issues can mess with supply chains recently. Highlights the need for robust networks, right?
Exactly. Interest rate fluctuations can definitely make financing new projects more expensive or uncertain. And yes, the recent disruptions, conflicts, tensions, they've really shown how vulnerable global logistics networks can be. It underscores this urgent need for more resilient infrastructure, which again costs money to build.
Okay, but let's shift gears. Let's look forward. Despite the challenges, the future seems full of advancements, driven by tech, changing consumer needs, and that sustainability focus.
Yeah, the future's fascinating. One of the most interesting parts is how deeply advanced tech is getting integrated. Think AI-powered predictive analytics. That means much better demand forecasting, optimizing inventory, even cutting down waste. And then there's blockchain for transparency, security in the supply chain. Can streamline customs, reduce delays internationally. These aren't just buzzwords anymore. They're becoming really fundamental to operations.
And with more people living in cities, that last mile delivery becoming so important. We're seeing things like multi-story warehouses, vertical logistics, especially in dense areas, to just make the most of the space, and integrating those advanced systems like ASRS to handle all the e-commerce volume right there in the city.
Absolutely. Vertical warehousing is a major trend in urban logistics. And sustainability is just going to become even more central. We expect developers to use more innovative construction methods, like prefabrication, modular building, that reduce waste, speed things up. Plus, incorporating renewable energy, rooftop solar, energy storage systems, that's likely to become standard practice. We're moving towards net zero facilities.
So, okay, pulling it all together, what does this mean for you listening? Maybe you're a consumer, maybe you're in the industry. This market, logistics, real estate, it's really at a critical point. You've got game-changing tech, changing shopper habits, and this huge push for sustainability. It's reshaping global trade.
Yeah. And for anyone involved, developers, investors, stakeholders, the message is pretty clear. You've got to prioritize investing in smart tech and sustainable solutions. That seems key. But it's also about tackling those challenges head-on. Land costs, labor, the macro environment. It requires smart planning, collaboration, maybe new construction techniques, different financing models. It's a complex puzzle to solve.
And for everyone else, this whole dynamic landscape, it directly impacts the speed, the reliability, even the environmental cost of the stuff that shows up at your door. It's fundamentally shaping global trade and really our everyday lives in ways we might not even think about.
Right. And maybe a final thought, something for you to consider. How will this delicate balance play out? Between the ambition of new technology, the hard economic realities, And the undeniable need for environmental responsibility, how that balance is struck in this market, it will likely define how resilient and adaptable our global supply chains are going to be in, well, a world that seems to be constantly changing.